Yo, yo, what's up, degenerates? It's your boy Hodlnomics, aka Doge GF Sancho, in the house. And guys, I got a really fun video for you today. I'm going to be talking about why I think this gray square on my screen is the number one thing to buy in literally the entire crypto industry right now. Like, I'm not joking. It's not hyperbole. I really think this is the most valuable, like the best value play that you can get. And I know it sounds crazy. It's just a gray square. But I'm going to give you the backstory. I'm going to give you the data. I'm going to give you all the research to tell you why. And if you're new here, you haven't seen me, like I go deep dives, like I find stuff. And this is, in my opinion, going to be absolutely insane. So as always, though, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research. Don't be listening to any clowns on the internet to make your financial decisions. But let's just hop right into this. So, really, there's going to be two people that are in this video. There's going to be people who have no idea what this is. And they're like, okay, like, how do you explain that to me? So I'm going to explain that to those people. Then there's the people who are coming in here who know what this is, don't really need a backstory, don't need to necessarily understand what the collection is. However, whenever I get to this screen here, this is when I start doing a little bit more of the detective work, and I start digging through some of the, trying to read between the lines on the website, and that's might be where you want to hop in, because that's like not necessarily like the backstory that you've heard a bunch. So anyways, if you want to watch the whole thing, that'd be great, but just kind of giving you a little timestamp. I don't have it down on the screen below, so you just kind of have to fast forward and wait till I get to the black screen here. But yeah, by the time we get here, all the people who have no idea what this is will be fully caught up. We'll all be on our way to raising that floor, making that money. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. But let's just let's do it. So this page, what is this? It's a page, and it's by, in my opinion, the most legendary collector in crypto, which is actually Pack. Okay, if you don't know Pack, I think he's bigger than Beeple. Beeple's a little bit more mainstream, but Pack's going to be the guy that they write about in the art history books, because he's much more progressive, he's more forward thinking. Like, he is a true artist. I mean, Beeple's an amazing artist as well, would never discredit that at all, but Pack is just, he's on a different level, 100%. He's just one of those guys that's thinking way bigger about influencing the world and making people think and take action and look introspectively. Like, and I'm not even like an artsy fartsy person at all, but it's really crazy when you start to learn Pack and figure out what he's about, what he's doing. It makes you think, and you're like, huh, wow, like that's really, this dude's a genius, right? And so I'm not going to be able to fully explain who this guy is. Like, there's no way I could do it justice in just this video. You got to go learn yourself. You've got to go see it and do your research. There's some really good YouTube videos out there. I'll actually link one below that's like a full documentary if you really want to get into it. But really, like, what you need to know for this collection is this man's the GOAT. He creates a ton of value for people. He's always, steps ahead of everybody else as far as like other artists, his community. Like, he's just always making his people go, wow. Like, and it's not just because of what's on the screen, but it's just because of the way that he's thinking and the way that he interacts with his art and his community. He's just interesting. And the best way I can probably describe it to you is we got this other square. So this is a different square, and you can't really see the difference on my screen. You kind of can. This is more like a parchment paper. I'll put the link down below. You can see it actually looks kind of cool when you look at it up, closely. I don't think that's just a picture of parchment paper. I think that's actually like him doing that. This is literally just a gray freaking square. Where's it at? Literally just a gray square. This is something that Pack sold for 1.3 million. So you're like, whoa, okay, like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is just some crazy stuff. And it kind of is. However, he sold this back when like the crypto punks were going crazy, and all this art was just being squiggly freaking lines were going for 20 ETH, all like just stupid, just ridiculous sales. Had nothing to do with anything other than people just trying to make money. So he did this. Obviously, he's trying to make money too, but this was more for, this was meta. This was basically making fun of all of it, but at the same time, like, being a symbol of all of it. This is called the pixel, right? And all of these NFTs, the foundation of them all is pixels. So he basically made the simplest one out of all of them, He's like, all right, screw your squiggly line. I'm going next level. You can't beat my simplicity. And on top of that, it's going to be the symbol of literally this entire movement. And it is. And when you kind of get that, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be something that symbolizes the movement down the line in art history, like in history books. And that's kind of how Pack is thinking. Like I don't know if he necessarily wants to be in history books, but that's the way he makes moves, is just like it's meta. They signify, the movement, the culture, the science and stuff that's going around. Uh, but it's very artsy. It's not like Beeple is great, and I don't want to discredit Beeple at all, but you see him, like exactly what he's saying. It makes you think, but you don't have to think much. Pack makes you think, right? And that's what's really interesting. He's the collectors, the NFT collectors, the guys that have been in the space for a really long time. Pack is their go-to guy. And even in fact, this page, right, this item here, when we were starting our NFT DAO, our top researcher who works for an NFT exchange was like, no, this is what you need to get. So he's like, yeah, this is by far absolutely the best move that you can do right now. So our DAO has been stacking up on these just because, and we've done more research on it. And we're with him now. It's going to be crazy. So that's really all you got to know about Pack. So we'll get into Pack, but now we just did a little bit of stuff on Pack. Now let's get into this collection. And the other thing too, actually, about Pack, number one most expensive NFT of all time, it was Pack, $91.8 million. Absolute insanity. And so yeah, he just kind of does, like I said, these like singularity things and just things like with atoms and stuff. He's just really atoms and space and light and geometry. That's generally been his thing. But this new collection that he did, he completely mixed it up, and now he's doing like this kind of almost Picasso thing. The other thing too is a lot of these collections that people have are just 10K, which is even 10K is a lot. This one has 27,000 items. So really interesting that he has this much, and he's still, the floor price is still 0.2 ETH. And it kind of just puts stuff into perspective for you. That's how much value this guy creates. And I'm here to tell you that 0.2 ETH on this is nothing. Like, that's absolutely nothing. I think that's going to skyrocket here soon. Now, okay, so these here, what these faces are now, these are poets. These are also part of the collection. And what happens is this is all interactive. Okay, this whole thing is interactive. The way that it started is people got the pages, whether they got airdropped. Some people got airdropped pages, and some people minted pages. I think it was 4 ETH, 0.4 ETH to mint a page, right? And so that was about $1,400-$1,500. So that's crazy. People were lining. It was this many people. I can't remember how many people minted, but there were 27,000 items total, and I think it sold out in like 3 minutes. I can't remember. And they were all paying 0.4 ETH, other than the people who airdropped for a blank page, right? So just to kind of give you perspective, that's how much people really, really like this guy, if you don't know who he is. So then what happened? That was the only collection at the time, was these pages. That was all there was. But then the things started to happen. And what's going on here is he's got a game that is basically being, that it's a game that the people are playing with these NFTs. Are they making a lot of poets? Are they making a lot of pages? Are they kind of combining them? And we'll kind of get into why I'm saying that here in a second. But people don't necessarily where this is going. We don't know necessarily how to generate the most value for ourselves in this, or what he's necessarily doing, or he hasn't explicitly said it. But I think I'm going to tell you why I think I do know where it's going here. But he is, but yeah, so it's a game, and he's releasing the different steps and phases. So nobody knows what the next step is going to be. They're just speculating and playing with the stuff that he's generated. So anyways, you start with the page. Then to get a poet, right, which these poets are really interesting. They're kind of these computer generated faces that have this a digital imagery stuff on it. They're randomized. They have different effects with the face, and some of them look really, really cool. I think all three of these top ones that are going here look really cool, to be honest. This one on the right looks dope. Some of them look weird. This one is an origin. Some are origin, which I think are the wider ones. May not be an origin. Don't quote me on that. But there's special ones that are like a little bit more wider called origins. Um, Nobody knows if those are going to be just rare or if they're going to have some sort of special characteristic down the line. Interesting. But yeah, you can see the pages. So it's kind of got this Picasso vibe, really different than what other people have done in the past. This one's really weird. So yeah, so some are, that's just kind of how it goes. Really, really weird. But these are all poets. So phase 2 of the game, phase 1 was burn it. Phase 2 of the game was you mint it, phase 1. Phase 2, you learn that you could burn a page, get a poet. So if you had 10 pages, you could burn 10 pages and get 10 poets. So that's the deal. And then there's phase 3. Then phase 3 came out and we learned that we could name the poets and we could have the poets write. So if you feed a poet a page, it burns the page again, so the page is gone, and the poet gets new traits. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. They get new characteristics added to their NFT, so their market value kind of goes up. So the more pages, right? So the pages essentially are being used to upgrade the poets, right? Or to give the poets words or names, right? We think they're upgrades. That's what they're going to be for. So that's where we're at. Now, let's get into the website here. So I'm going to kind of keep this page right here. So this is it right here. So there's the prologue, and he's doing this kind of like in a movie setting as well, which is, or like a movie stages, which is crazy. So you got the prologue, so just project introduction. You've got the sale, so 48-hour sale, then the reveal. So poet NFTs are claimed using page tokens. So yeah, that's when you could burn it. Then now we're in the Explorer. So this is where collectors understand the mechanisms. Some poets are named. So the next thing that's going to be coming up is the twist. And this is what it says. Remember, this is a Pack project. Anything can happen. So Pack knows what's going to happen. Like I said, he's always making people like jaw drop, what's going to be next, like what's going to happen. So digging into his page a little bit more. Now, this guy's super unpredictable. You never know. But I think he leaves clues. Truthfully, I haven't followed him long enough to know that. But I do know that he's unpredictable. So again, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research on everything. But this is where we're at right now. Now, we got to pay attention to this. This is where I do start doing a little bit of the detective work. So you can choose one of two: exchange or retain pages. So, you can exchange them or retain them. So there's a choice that people have to have. Nobody knows what the best thing is going to be to do. So each page swap brings a unique poet. Poets have hidden rarities that will come to light over time. The value of a rarity is affected by other poets. So then it says poets are poets, and poets need poetry, and poetry needs words. After all, who could understand poetry that isn't written in words? So it kind of makes common sense, but I think he's telling you something there. Then, as a result, mute poets remained unnamed. After all, who knows a stone's name if it can't talk? Poets are poets, yet with each new page, they may be renamed. With each page you give them, they will be able to speak more words. This mechanism will be activated in Act 3, so that's where we're at right now. So then this right here, this is the big line. So tell me, Mr. Librarian, do you want an army of mute poets, or do you want a poet who can speak lots of things? When other people were reading this to me, they were just kind of like reading it like, okay, yeah, make your decision and stuff. But I'm like looking at that and I'm like, okay, common sense says mute poets are worthless. And they even said it here too. After all, who knows a stone's name if it can't talk? Do you want an army of mute poets? So do you want a lot of poets? Or do you want a poet who can speak a lot of things? It doesn't say poets who can speak a lot of things. It says a poet. So then it has this right here, this little graphic. It's got this black square, which is the poet. And then it says plus, all these are the pages. And then there's something at the end here. That's like a book or something, right? There's clearly, in my opinion, if you feed a poet enough pages, you're going to get something. And so we don't know what that something is, but I think that's where this is going. And we're going to talk about here in a second. There have been so many people that have burned their poets already, or to burn their pages to get poets, made it speak a lot of things. The supply on the pages has gone way, way down. And so if there's something that gets announced that says that you're going to need pages for something, it's going to go crazy. And we're going to talk about numbers because there have been points where the pages had like a clear utility, right? You can burn a page and get a poet, and the poets are going crazy. So yeah, everybody wants a page, so that way they can get a poet. The utility was there, the price was skyrocketing. But right now, nobody really knows what the utility is. It's kind of up in the air. So that's why the price is down. But as soon as people find out, it's going to skyrocket. So hope you guys are following. So, and then you have the unfettered origins. They can speak every word and they can only be named once. Words and names don't require pages. When an origin is renamed, it is renamed for each poet who bears it. So I'm a little confused on the origin part. There's special NFT poets that are called origins that get airdropped. I don't know exactly what's going on with them. They may be just like, there may be something extra special going on with them too. So yeah, maybe it's a poet mixed with an origin and pages. I don't know. Maybe the poet origins and pages who get their who have the most are going to have the highest value. Who knows? So then it just says, yeah, finally a twist. It says, why are they silent? They have no words. So again, yeah, I don't think you want a silent poet. I don't think that's going to be something that's good here. I think you want a poet that can have lots of words. So yeah, that's what this is. So I was getting into it too. So this is what it looks like when they get words. And these, this is something that this guy Sparky's made. Really cool. I was just digging around. I was trying to find people who knew what they were talking about when I was like trying to get stuff. And Sparky's hooked me up with some really good info. So shout out to him. Go give him a follow. If he's got 50 poets, I mean, this guy probably knows what he's talking about with NFTs. I mean, that's like a good amount of money there too. And he's feeding him a bunch of pages. So this is one of them. This is a really cool one. He calls him Cassius Clay Jr. And he's fed him 4, maybe 3 different pages. He said there's a word limit, right? He said, I don't know if there's a character limit. I don't know if there's a word limit, but there's a character limit. And it may be different for each and a poet. I'm not 100% sure. So, but anyways, this one, he's fed him 3 or 4 pages and it says float like a butterfly. So, now he has that on there. So there could be something down the line where this guy has 3 pages and you see that it's on it. And so that becomes more valuable in the market because it's closer to the end goal, right? Which is going to be lots of pages. This one has it. So even though he might not be able to complete the page for all of his, he could potentially sell this to someone who might have a lot of pages and it works out. So there's a lot of different ways that this could go. So you got that. And then there's this right here. So this is tweezers.eth. One of the craziest threads I've ever read. This guy's done some amazing research. We're just going to go through all of this so you can kind of see what's going on. And you've seen where the value spikes and where it comes in. And we'll just go ahead and wrap up from there. So anyway, it says PAX Ecosystem Analysis number 3. This week they're doing the Lost Poets collection. So this guy does a lot of his ecosystem analysis because, the PAX ecosystem is next level. You really do need to figure out the math and get into it to really understand, just how big and expansive and what all the opportunities are. So big picture of this is amazing. One long year story. Oh, the other thing too is at the end of the year, pages are there's not going to be any use for pages. They're going to be completely worthless. So if you have a page, you might be able to burn it and get another token, which is another token that he has. We won't get into that. But they may be 100% worthless. So we don't actually know exactly what's going to happen. I doubt that's going to be the case. But you have basically a year as of September. So another 5 months. 7 months to burn the pages. We'll see what happens. So anyway, said big picture of this is amazing. 1 year long story. So past, future hodls and speculation. Others obviously on-chain data. So that's a really cool poet right there. I really like that one. So then it says, at first glance, let me zoom in here. Murat Pak's Lost Poets might seem as we haven't seen any real price actions. What do you think? Is Lost Poet Collection snoozing, or is Murat Pak putting us to sleep? In other words, in order to really understand this amazing project, let's dive into the big picture. So let's discover together. Here we go. Murat Pak's Lost Poets. One second. NFT creation has a 5-act roadmap that spans over a full year until it reaches the final form. That alone deserves a huge clap, as we all know how fast the crypto and NFT market is moving. That is true, right? That he's got a year-long play with this, which is, again, he's just next level. He's thinking differently. We know that Pak is here for the long term, and I respect that. So we are here at the Explorer, just to explain that to you. And this guy just released this the other day on February 2nd. We're on the 17th, so it's only 15 days old. So we are currently in Act 3, the Explorer. Exactly as Murat Pak planned, collectors are a bit confused and gradually start to understand what we are building together. Ash. Ash is an NFT, is a crypto that Pak started, and it's for all of his NFT collectors. It's basically like the NFT crypto, my opinion. He does a lot of really cool stuff with Ash, and actually even Pak designed the situation where you could burn some of his NFTs to where you don't need to sell it, and then you can get Ash immediately right away, so that way you don't have to find like an end buyer, which is pretty cool. But you have to hold the NFTs for a certain amount of time. It's not all of them, got to play the game with them. But anyways, as you can see, the on-chain prices are confused since the Explorer, but that might change. So you can see the sale, and then I'm not sure what those blue lines are. What's it say here? But here we go. It says, okay, Lost Poets in the page. All right, perfect. So the poets are the blue, and then the pages are the red. So this is the sale, and all it is the pages. And then it, boom, comes out that you can burn pages to get poets. So then the pages spike up, and then so do the poets, and then we get to the Explorer, which the Explorer was on October, what does that say, 15th, somewhere around there. And then basically you could only give your pages to the poets. You can't create any more poets with pages. You can only give it to the poets at that point to give them more words or name them, but like nobody knows how that's going to increase the value. So the pages have gone down, while the poets have, remain relatively level, which is good. So let's go back. It says, to know your future, you must know your past. Let's start from the beginning and move forward. So Act 1 was the sale. So a 48-hour for mint. There were 65,000 pages. Okay, 0.32 ETH per page. Unminted pages were distributed to the community. It was a blank. It says Murat Pak's blank page. What you see is what you get. Question mark says, nope, I don't think so. Act 2, the reveal, 3 weeks later, you have 2 weeks to decide. Do you want to burn the page to get a unique poet, or do you want to retain the page? 40% turned into poets, which was about 27,000. So that's what's interesting. Then it says, drum roll, please. What can we learn from the price actions of the past 2 acts of Lost Poets? So it says pages will be eligible for poets, and then it says pages eligible for poets. So the price is rising still, and then the page is not eligible, and then the pages go down. So and then it says the sale, pages will turn into poets, which is the mint pass. Lost Poets price gradually from 0.23 to 0.7 ETH. That's the floor. Collectors were anxiously waiting for the reveal in order to transform pages into poets, and NFT FOMO was kicking in. Murat Pak's page utility was clear. So, the reveal, pages are eligible for poets now. Although everyone knew it was coming 3 weeks after the start, the NFT FOMO kicked in hard. Pages reached a top of 1.5 ETH. Murat Pak's page utility was clear. Below page median daily price is the page median daily price. So you can see this is the price. Pages can turn into poets. This day shoots up, and then this day there's no more poets. It goes down. And what's also interesting about this too is it's good to get on this early, first couple of days, while the FOMO is really, really kicking in, and make those sales then. So Then it says, so what we've witnessed so far. Murat Pak's collectors knew the roadmap ahead of time. Still, in a matter of 5 weeks, they ignored the roadmap. NFT FOMO kicked in, as always, and prices followed the announcements. 0.32 ETH went to 1.5 ETH and then back down to 0.7 ETH when the utility was not clear. It seems that the collector has a short-term memory. Could it be that Pak is trying to teach us a lesson? This leads me to the current act, the Explorer. So the Explorer, we're now 4 months in. Pages into Poets is no longer possible. Poets can be fed with pages. Collector that fed a poet has the right to name the poet or write a poem, which is a new words, trait, or attribute. Oops. So, yeah, a lot going on there. But it still says the page utility is not really clear. What exactly does naming the poet or writing a poem do? Like, nobody knows. So the Explorer is where the collectors make discoveries about mechanisms. This act will reveal its mechanisms over time, so don't expect an immediate shift in the game's perspective. So yeah, we don't know exactly what's going on, but I mean, we kind of see even the people that have 50 of these, they don't really know what's going on. They're just like, okay, I'm just putting, a thing on my guy, putting words on him. So we'll see. So we can learn from the data that collectors are struggling to understand the value behind the collection they are exploring. It's easier to understand the poet's value, and the data shows it. Prices are holding quite steady around 1 ETH for 20 weeks, bullish on poets. On the other hand, page collectors seem to struggle with the concept of a blank page, especially since pages lost their main utility, pages into poets. The question is, do you think that's their last utility? I would say no. Remember, to know your future, you must know your past. Price action follows roadmap. So what's the next act? The twist. This is what our researcher in our DAO said was the next thing. That, this is what he was like. Yeah, you want to make sure you get in there before the twist. So he said, and he doesn't know what it is, but he's just like, yeah, Pak's gonna do something crazy. So speculation. One of the most brainy concepts of Pak is the Ash token. In a nutshell, some of Pak's work are eligible for higher tier burns. So it means that you can burn an NFT. Okay, yeah, I talked about that. You can burn an NFT and get Ash. So that's something that's cool that Pak did. So how do we decide what NFTs can be burned into Ash? Today, it says, I wish the NFT community will be able to control it with some kind of DAO, and that pages might have a role there. What? I wish the NFT community will be able to control it with some kind of DAO. Oh, and pages might have a role there. Wow, okay, so this is interesting. So he's saying that pages might have a role on the whole ash burn and everything. Wow, that would be really interesting to get access to a DAO. Who knows? Maybe people who have enough pages and feed enough poets are going to be the ones who have access to that. That might be something that's on the table. Who knows? Speculation. Either way, if I would have to guess, Page's utility was only to turn into poets. I would guess not. Pak is a master of long-term thinking. My speculation is that the twist will involve Pages, maybe not after this thread. Back to the data. In 7 months, poets are burnable for Ash, which is 5 ETH. The twist is just around the corner. Average 3.5 months, and the last one was like in October, I think. When was it? Let's go up to some of these. When was the Explorer announced? No more poets. October. Yeah, it was in October. So that's we're getting close to that. So October 15th-ish was the last time there was an act change. So yeah, it's coming up here soon. Could be the last. Who knows? It could be 6 months from now. Honestly, that's the other thing too. This thing is going to last a year. We still have 7 months left. So we could still be playing this phase out of it for a while. We don't know. So we can learn from the data. Okay, I already talked about this. So, okay, unique holders. Since the project has started 4 months ago, the number of holders is solid. Since week 3, we've had 8 to 9,000 weekly holders. When increased demand will arrive, things will be interesting. 7 months, poets won't need a buyer. So that's going to be interesting too. So if we look at pages versus poets, poets are on an uptrend. The number of holders has increased by 20% in the last 10 weeks. On the other hand, the number of pages holders are flat for the last 14 weeks, around 6,000. That's when you want to buy stuff, my opinion. So then, money is best for last. I'll show you the money. I'll show you the chart, and you decide what to say. So, what was the best buy price for Marriott Pack's community? So, number of average number of holders by average price. Okay, I'm not really following this. This is kind of weird. Okay, yeah, I'm not really following this section of it as much. But anyways, you kind of get the idea. So, and then as things go on, there's going to be less and less pages. So that the supply of them is going to go down, and potentially we're going to have a demand spike. There could be a legitimate shortage to where there are going to be people who are FOMOing into these, right? And I could be wrong, but there could be some, I highly doubt that the pages are just dead. There's not going to be any use case for them. And if you look at their chart, I mean, they're pretty much flat. They've been flat here since October. Really, honestly, yeah, since November. They've just been down, and it's about $658 to scoop one right now. So if that goes up to where it was at 1.5 ETH, let's see, where's that at? Yeah, 1.5 ETH. That's going to be a 7x from where it's at. However, we're also going to be having a shortage supply, and potentially at the end, the reward that people find out, like what the actual reward is for this, could be so valuable that these things just like go nuts, go absolutely absurd, especially if he's talking about having some sort of DAO ownership for the Ash token and his NFT collections. Yeah, people are going to really want to do that, be a part of that, be a part of his community, be a part of his DAO. There's a lot of value there. So yeah, guys, I mean, take it or leave it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this is crazy? Do you guys have any questions about what's going on? But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Go get those pages. Pack going crazy to the moon. Y'all have an amazing day. Adios. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.